On Sunday the 17th, we are going to do the setup for Swami Viditatmananda's classes that start the next day after that on the 18th of Monday. And Zarina and Raj and others have requested some of you to please come and help out. I know it's Father's Day and you have a busy day, but if you can, please come at 5 o'clock to the Jain temple. And if more people come, then the whole thing can be finished very quickly. So please contact Zarina if you have any question, but I request you to do that. That'll be nice. Okay. All right. Should we start the class? Do you want to do you?
You have 2 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Let me.
Yeah. You know, Namaste. In March of this year, Shiva Vishnu Temple celebrated Atirudram and Shatachandi Homam. It was a very large event, very labor intensive, and we had about at least 121 Ritviks coming from all over the country. Ritvik means people maintaining some physical discipline and mental discipline, and who can chant Rudram. You know, I was one of the Ritviks. Now we had set up about 13 Homakundas, 11 for Rudram and 1 for Chandi Homam, 1 for other reasons, so 13 Homakundas. And we had 11 Ritviks for each Homakunda, and Ekadasha Rudram, that is 11 times Rudram was chanted twice, in the morning session and evening session. So for 11 days it was chanted, so we chanted about 14,641 times, you know. And I must have chanted about 100 times. Still, I'm far from perfection, you know. I know, probably, 10%. And Guruji was there on 2 days. Our chairman, then chairman, Leela Koneru, President Sainath Kala, and our Apex Committee chair, Prakash Pokala, they wanted to honor you. But somehow the logistics didn't work out. And then I offered, hey, I'm in the class. I'm the member of the Apex Committee too. Why don't I do that in the class? And they agreed. And here I am to do that. We prayed for Shiva just now. Here is. This on behalf of the temple, and this is for your home, for your. You had to do it on our behalf to your Mrs.
So wonderful. Thank you.
Now, one more thing, our temple, the present, current chairman Anand Gundu and the current president Vamsi Pulapa and others in the management want you to come and give some discourses at the temple. I know you are pressed for time, at least some time available basis. Some subject, we talked about it. I hope you have Ishvara's grace. I hope it will happen.
Thank you so much. So Narayan, I'm very honored by the temple to give me this shawl as a gesture. As you know, I have the highest regard for the Livermore Temple. I've been associated with it from the very beginning, and very happy to see that you have maintained a certain high standards of authenticity, and it is very obvious that you are well received by the community. You are growing very well, and I'm very happy to be part of it, and would see how we can arrange for some talks there. I will be very happy to do so. So thank you again very much. Let's just do a short version today. We'll not do the full Shanti Patha in the interest of time. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad-vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Rukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastvanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So as you know, we are doing a revision of all the classes that have been held up to that point, up to Karika number 18. So we already did the first class in the revision last time. So let's continue with that. So one thing to note about the Mandukya Upanishad, highly regarded and also highly recommended for sadhakas, for students who have studied a lot. So this is kind of like one of the final things that you should do, and then keep studying this one again and again. And the reason for that is that it has the distilled knowledge of the entire set of Vedantic literature, and in a way it distilled form of what we should think about in leading our lives. Because you have a very variegated set of experiences in our lives, some good, some not so good. And how we approach it, how we deal with our problems and so on, also has a very complicated set of responses that you have to do. Complicated in the sense that you have to recognize Ishvara's presence, and then you have to think about yourself, all of those kinds of things. But the distilled form of your approach towards it after you have educated yourself is recommended through this Upanishad. And also another thing to see, that Omkara, so whenever you chant Om, that also represents the distillation of your life. It's and so distillation, meaning that if you do not understand the constituents of what Omkara is, then it will simply bless you somewhat. But if you understand the constituents, and when you chant Om with the full knowledge and awareness of what it represents, then your blessing is that much more effective. And so really speaking, one should then aspire to understand the distillation of your life through the Mandukya, and also remind yourself and keep the chanting of Om in your mind as a symbol and as a reminder of this distillation of your knowledge. So for this reason, this Upanishad is an important one and also a difficult one, because this really is for people who are already quite well educated, and this is just a distillation of it. It's nothing new in that sense. And for that reason, sometimes the Mandukya is also called Omkara Upanishad, as I mentioned last time also. It is sometimes referred to that. So this is the beauty about this Upanishad. Then another thing which was pointed out by Swami Paramarthananda, and I'm actually in today's revision, I'm going to follow the text by Swami Paramarthananda, because he gave some classes that were somewhat summarized. They didn't go into a lot of detail. So some of his main points that he is expressing, I was just reading that recently, are very useful in this revision format that we are using. So I'm going to use that for him. So one of the things that he pointed out very nicely is that there is a certain distinction about Mandukya from the other Upanishads. How? Most of the other Upanishads follow the following prakriya. Prakriya means the method of unfolding the truth. The truth is the same no matter what method you follow, but some of the methods are slightly different. What the other Upanishads do is to say Brahman, the essence of who we are, is the cause of the whole creation. Just like, for example, you can say that the gold is the cause for all ornaments. Okay? And so all the other Upanishads go into an analysis of cause and effect. So the cause is real and the effect is less than real. It's not unreal. The definition of mithya is not unreal, but something less than real. It's a very peculiar and a very important ingredient for the whole Srishti by Ishvara. This is what he does. That really speaking, you have a basic element which creates the entire thing, which is the Brahman. And from the Brahman comes all the various forms and names and forms that you see. Just exactly like gold and in the ornaments. So all the other Upanishads look upon, they follow the prakriya of cause and effect. Cause and effect. So the more direction you go towards the cause, the more you go towards reality. Where did it come from? What is the very purpose of this? This is the prakriya that we use. Mandukya, on the other hand, uses a slightly different prakriya. What is that prakriya? It says, in terms, it explains the same thing, not in terms of karana karya, but in terms of experiences of your life and the experiencer of the life. You can look at it the same way, it's pretty much the same. But the spotlight for thinking, this is the prakriya, is that you have to look at the truth from the standpoint of experiences. And it says that really the person who is actually not even experiencing, but who is the sakshi for the experiencer and the experiences both, is the truth. And all experiences are less than the truth. They're mithya. This is something that we need to really grasp. And as we study, and then as we follow the distillation of this Upanishad, the very truth of it, eventually, for example, what we would need to do is to evaluate our life, and whatever you are experiencing, whatever, at whatever time, wherever, at whatever time, whatever space, whatever form, all experiences have to be dismissed as something which is not real. And our ability to follow this advice and to actualize on it, this is the process. It's not a simple, easy kind of a thing. First, you are told exactly how to analyze your life, and eventually you're told that, listen, you please see that all experiences are really something that you are free of, as you have nothing to do with it. All experiences. And you have to look at it from a realistic standpoint. So a realistic standpoint means that you have to, the experience is all the same, it's just how you take it. And we take it to be real, because it's not very clear as who we are. So the whole study is from the standpoint of the very basic advice given by the Mandukya Upanishad, that really speaking, all experiences, whether it is in your waking state, in your dream state, in your deep sleep state, at whatever stage of your life, all of that should be seen, should be lumped together. You should lump it together, because you have to say, what type is this? And so, all experiences are anatma. They are not you. And so the whole thing has to be evaluated on that basis. So this is the specialty of Mandukya Upanishad, and I'm very happy that Swami Paramarthananda pointed this out. Really, it's a wonderful way to do that. With that, let us start the review of, and I think we have already talked about it in the last time, that the first verse, so the whole Upanishad has 12 verses, and the first verse analyzes, it introduces you to Omkara Vichara. What is Omkara? And the second verse switches over to Atma Vichara. Atma Vichara means, who am I? Atma Vichara. So that's the second verse. Then the Upanishad from 3 to verse number 7, verse number 3 to verse number 7, expands Atma Vichara. And then in verse number 8 to 12, it goes back to the explanation and the expansion of Omkara Vichara. And eventually, even throughout and eventually, it proves that Omkara is you. Omkara is really just you. It is Brahman. It is Atma. There's no difference. This we have to see. This we have to achieve in terms of understanding. How is that possible? Because as we have been saying, that really speaking, each one of the jivas, every one of them has two selves, if you may. We are two eyes. There are two of us. One is a lower eye and one is a higher eye. And the lower eye is the limited person. And the same person is the higher eye. It's not as though there are two people. Is this just a question of identification? Exactly the same example that if you are a room space, then you are the total space. It's not as though the room space has to do something to become total space. It is total space. It's how you look at it. So these are the two selves. And so our challenge is to aspire to the higher self and give up the smaller self. And we are not too keen on doing that because we are in love with our smaller self. Love in the sense that even if there are problems, we think we can solve them. We are in control of our lives. And so we keep clinging to the small self in one form or the other. We think we can achieve it. It's okay. It's all right. No. This is going to continue on for forever. And it's not going to really... you are already the higher self. And you might as well discover the beauty of it. The examples given, it's very beautiful examples given, is that there was, I think Swami Chinmayananji had given this beautiful example. And that is that it was a person who was struggling in life and was making difficult ends meet. And he was getting frustrated and so on and so forth. So his father had died some time ago. So one of his father's friends, he was confiding in, saying, my life, sir, my uncle, my life is really very difficult. I cannot support the family and so on and so forth. So his father's friend said, I tell you what, your father had made some money and he had bought some gold. And once he confided in me that the gold is being buried for some need in the life inside your property somewhere. So I think he is there. He's a very sincere person. He won't be telling me a lie. I think it is there. So what I would recommend is continue on your life, but find this gold somewhere buried, and I think you'll be okay. So when confronted with this, this is exactly the situation when the Shastra asks us that, hey, there is a treasure that you can invoke in your life. And it's there with you, but not visible yet to you. Slightly different situation, but it is there. So now when this assurance is given to this person by his father's friend, you can visualize a couple of things that you can do. Either you can say, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm not sure that he's telling me the truth. Even if it is there, I don't know I have a 1 acre land. How am I going to find it? I may continue on with my life. I don't know. Or you can have a sense that, my God, this person, the way he told me, See, this is the thing, the way the person tells him, he would say, listen, my son, I missed, almost like was going to tell you on my own, but now that you approached me with your life's problems, it becomes imperative. Please do it. It's there somewhere. So then he can start searching, and it won't happen right away. You have to think about soft grounds that were recently done. There's some methodology. This is the prakriya. You have to find the prakriya to find the treasure, and eventually it's there. You just have to find it. So exactly, this is the secret of Vedanta. Our higher self is the treasure. Is the treasure because once we discover, my goodness, I am free of time. I mean, I was never born. I'm always there. And therefore death cannot touch me. And I am the very source of all happiness. This is hard for me to believe. This is the treasure which is buried inside ourselves, for each one of us. And now it's just a matter of converting, is it true, to how. How am I going to find out? So the Upanishads, like the Mandukya Upanishad and so on, addresses the person who is interested in the how, not the person who is interested in the what. If you tell about Mandukya to an average person, none of the Upanishad makes sense, but this will make the least sense. And so this is an advanced Upanishad in that manner. So that is the overall structure. So then the first verse starts right away, which is the Omkara Vichara. So it says that Om iti etad akshara idagum sarvam tasya upavyakyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva yaccha anyat trikalatitam tadapi omkara eva. So it defines omkara. It defines omkara as something which is, first of all, always there, imperishable. Omkara is something which is Brahman. Later on it will equate to Brahman, which is something which is imperishable, which is it is imperishable because it is independent. You see, a perishability means that you are dependent on some factors. When those factors are taken away, then you also are taken away. But if you are imperishable, that means that you must be independent. How is it to be independent? But anyway, that's something later on, but it is imperishable, Om. And also, it is everything that can happen, which has happened, which is happening now, and will happen. It's all nothing but an expression of Omkara alone. This is the definition of Om. I mean, is there something? This is the definition of Satyam. Satyam, Jnanam and Anantam. Because it has to be imperishable, which means it has to be independent, and it must be infinite. Infinite in the sense that there cannot be two independent things. Just think about that. Supposing you say there are two independent things. Now, the sense of independence is okay if in terms of our transactions. Like you can say that person and we are both, he has an independent life, I have an independent life. It's not like that. So the independence means that it is totally independent of any duality. It's infinite. And one in which everything that happens is nothing but a form of this Omkara. In other words, if just like for example in a gold, all possible ornaments or golden ornaments are made out of gold. Similarly, all possible names and forms of the whole universe are made out of Omkara. This is what it is pointing out. So he says that in the English translation, thus all this is the imperishable Om. It is the clear explanation. Tasya upavyakhyanam means that you cannot get a better definition. You were to say, give me something which is precise and clear, unambiguous. This would be it. What would it be it? All past, present and future are all Om alone. Whatever is beyond the three periods of time of, you can look at it this as past, present, future, or you can look at it as waking state, dream state and so on. Either way you look at it, everything there's no situation in the whole creation where Omkara is not there. Actually, this is the situation with Atma. There is no, and this is the situation with Atma as you and I. Believe it or not, there is no situation ever where we were not there. Not as the current body-mind complex, but as I, the awareness. The awareness is always there. This is the Omkara. But anyway, here this is the Omkara. The same thing will happen in the next verse. Let's look at the next verse. So then we can equate the two. So the next verse is then Atma Vichara, as I mentioned. So here, Sarvagum hi etad Brahma, ayam Atma Brahma, saha ayam Atma Chatushpad. So leave aside the Ahayam Atma Chatushpad. Just look at the first part of the second verse. Sarvam hi etad Brahma, ayam Atma Brahma. So now, in a way, he's approaching the definition from another angle. One angle is Omkara, another angle is Brahman and Atma. This is why it's called the Atma Vichara. Atma Vichara here means that I, which is none other than Brahman. And so, really there is I equals Brahman. I equals Brahman. But I don't accept it. As a jiva, I don't accept it. It's like, I almost shy away from it. It says, Ishvara is you. And then I say, how can I be Ishvara? I'm just a limited, lowly person struggling. Can't even spell the word Ishvara. And you're telling me, and so on and so forth. And so here, when you do that, you're denying the very presence, the very definition of Ishvara, who is all-pervasive, which must be me also, because I cannot deny the We'll say just look at this. This is what's the advice given is. Then when you look upon Ishvara as being different from you, you are actually cutting him down. Because you say, so everybody's, in fact, this is exactly what happens. What is the population of the world? It's like 6 billion people. 6 billion people say Ishvara is not me. His space is cutting down very small. There's not much to go. And at least it's interesting, all the animal kingdom, they don't say that. You ask some bird and say, are you Ishvara? So the bird will just be looking around for the next victim. We had it the other day in the backyard. It was so interesting. I was looking at it. I took a picture of it. I still have it. There was a huge bird. I mean, this guy was about this thick, round thick, and he was sitting on on the fence. Majestic looking fellow. And we were afraid to open the door and go near and take his picture. But what a sight everybody just looked at him. Early in the morning, and this fellow was just looking around. And we were thinking, what is he thinking of? He's probably thinking, where's my next meal going to come from? So he's looking around, he's got, I don't know, I think he was so big that I would be not surprised that if he eats small rats and all these kinds of things. Majestic fellow. And so you ask him, hey, do you know where Ishvara is? At least he would not say, not me. The animals are better than us. He won't say anything, but he won't deny. But we deny. Ask every human being, hey, and we say things like that, God is within me. And we say things like that. We don't really mean it. But really speaking, you cannot deny God. In fact, this is the thing. Your personality is really nothing but the expression of Ishvara in this body. So really speaking, we are not jivas. We are the expression of Ishvara in this body. And this looks very strange to us in the beginning. How, are you sure? Are you just praising me or something? Is there some facts in this? So the Shastra keeps quiet. He says, yes, that's exactly right. So, this is something that I remember even in my life. There was a transformation where, and I mentioned this before also, that there was an attempt for me to reach out to Ishvara. That I'm not sure where you are, how can you improve my life? And so what I'm saying is that I started with a sense of limitation, and I wanted to remove the limitation by almost effort. Instead, the transformation came that really speaking, I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is to slowly erase the concept that I am separate from the Ishvara. It took a little while for me to understand. And this is a completely different way of looking at it. That means that you don't have to expand your vision of who you are with effort and so on. That's not it. It's just that you begin with the understanding, you become familiar with the understanding that it's already Ishvara. And why am I blocking his presence in me? What's the reason for it? Why am I blocking it? And this transformation is an important one. Is it because and Swami, I think Swami Paramarthananda also mentioned the same thing somewhere. I mean, he gave some very beautiful examples. No, I think that was a different book that I was studying. That really somehow or the other, we are kind of like comfortable within our own misery. And the reason for it is that I'm not sure that I can achieve, even though I know it, but it's not sure that I can achieve this this higher self that you're talking about. In looking at the example of this person whose father had left him with some gold, he can say, I think that it may be true. Yes, I believe my father's friend when he says that my father may have, but you know what? That's going to require a lot of effort. And I have a job to fill. I can hardly cope up with my problems and so on and so forth. But you know what? Let it be. Let it be. Maybe in my old age I'll look at it. I'm just going to struggle, because if I keep digging at this point, I'm not able to do my rest of the work and so on. This is kind of like our situation, that we are not really willing to give up our sense of limitation because we have become comfortable with it. Anyway, so the second verse says that Sarvam hi etat Brahma. So one was the Omkara, but here everything is equated eventually. Om, Brahman and Atma. All three of them are really nothing but the same. But initially you have to just approach as a prakriya. So here it says that etat Brahma ayam Atma. Atma Brahma alone. There is only one. That means that there is only one Ishvara, which is everything. And the sooner you recognize that you're clinging to your own jiva definition, you're denying the presence of Brahma, as we said before. The reality, not the presence. Presence means that there is someone near me. No. The very reality of me is nothing but Brahman alone. The sooner I do that. So this is the definition. This is almost like this is what you should aspire to. Before we explain how and so on and so forth, we might as well tell you the truth first. This is the truth. So first of all, the first verse is Omkara alone is everything. Then the definition is Brahman alone is everything. And that Brahman is none other than you. This is why these are advanced Upanishads. It goes straight away to the ultimate. So that's the second verse. Okay. Now, the Chatushpad is introduced. Ayam Atma Chatushpad. So this has 4 quarters. 4 quarters. And the 4 quarters, which will be explained starting with verse number 3, Jagrita Sthanaha, etc., are 4 ways of looking at the Atma. And here, exactly the same situation as supposing you have a woman. And the woman is married. and has children and is working, and she now has different personalities for each one of the roles that she fulfills. As a mother, she has a certain natural personality, natural relationship, natural set of responsibilities. As a friend, as a neighbor, she has a different personality. As a worker, she has another personality. And they are completely different from each other. They might overlap once in a while, but really they are completely different personalities. But is she all of them? She is the one person that has the ability to be a mother to the kids, and how she deals with them, how she affected by them, her love for them is totally different than her personality with the friends, with the workers, and so on. So also the Atma. Atma has 4 personalities. And it's the same Atma. It's not as though there are 4 different Atmas and so on. And so, for example, in this, when you say I was dreaming last night, you are the one who was dreaming. It's you, not a separate person. I was asleep. I am awake. So this is the Chatushpad. These are the 4 personalities of the Atma. So this is already hinted in verse number 2, towards the end of the verse number 2. Then this is expanded in, so the Chatushpad means it has 4 quarters, 4 phases, 4 segments, either way to look at it. And so this one is expanded. Now you remember that the verses number 3 to 7 are the expanded form of Atma Vichara. So number 3 now says, let's start with the first pada. Jagrita sthanaha bahish pragya saptanga ekona vimshati mukhaha sthula bhuk vaishwanaraha prathama padaha. Prathama padaha. So here, one important thing to see is, in each one of the padas, so each one of the padas, and the padas means they are anatma. Anatma, meaning that's not essentially you. Not essentially you. It is something that you can take up, but it is not you. It's interesting. I remember I worked for Hewlett-Packard for 28 years. Beautiful years. I just had a great experience. My kids used to say, why don't you change jobs, Dad? Aren't you getting bored at this? And partially I really worked there because it allowed me to work on Vedanta. I could come out with a decent time. So like some of you who are so involved with the work and so on, I wasn't that burdensome to me. Anyway, I still did my job and I was very happy with it and so on. And over time, really my personality and HP's personality were merged together. I saw myself as a Hewlett Packard person. Really, there's a beautiful family. And the people that you mixed with and so on and so forth, our ethical behaviors, very ethical company. I was very ethical. I was a Hewlett Packard person. And that was it. I started from the very beginning in 1972, and for 28 years I was there. Then I retired. And funny thing, this is something peculiar to me. I don't know, not many people. Do you know I have not gone back to the buildings? I sold all of my stock. I don't go to any of the alumni meetings, which they are held every week. It's gone. I moved on to the next thing. The reason I'm saying that is that for a while my personality was intricately linked to HP, but not intrinsic to me. Gone. I am still there, moving on to the next pada. I don't, for a while I followed them and this, that or the other, and very happy that all the problems that HP had came after I left. So it was easy for me to, and I feel badly about it and so on. I still have a very soft corner, but really speaking, gone. So the reason I'm saying is that, so if you are, this woman we talked about who is a worker and a mother and so on and so forth, suppose she gives up a job. Like that's what happened to me. Then her status as a worker is gone. She stays there as a mother only. So really speaking, all of this, what I'm saying is that all the padas, please keep in mind, all the waker and so on and so forth, etc., are anatma. They are not atma. Atma will be, the definition of atma will be not incidental but intrinsic, which you can never give up because it's you. So what is it that you don't give up? That is what you are. And anything that you are, it could be intricately associated with, like I was with HP. It doesn't matter. It looks like that's me. Even I would say the mother with children also, because when the children go and so on and so forth, the sense of mothership should also diminishes a little bit. Yeah, it is a very, very funny, very interesting thing. There's a lot of commentary on this whole thing. One thing that Swami Maheshananji was discussing, he says that, and whatever he says it from Shastra. He doesn't, I have seen this, quotations and so on and so forth. He said, do you know what Shastra says? It's not clear who's the son and who's the father. So we say, what? How can it be? So the Shastra says, look at this logic. What causes something is superior to what is caused. Karana-karya behavior, right? This is the, we said, the gold is superior to the ornaments because the ornaments are coming from the gold, right? So this is logic. So the Shastra says, look at the relationship between the father and son, or mother and son, or whatever. Just say father and son. Now, it would mean that father is the cause and the son is the effect. So the father is superior to the son. Yes, that's true. Shastra says not really entirely true. The son causes the father. What? Because until the son was born, you are not a father. So the son is the cause, the father is the effect. This is the nature of mithya. Not clear. Not clear. Here Swami Maheshananji gave this example. It's a very beautiful example. So it's written in one of the Puranas. So Narada and Parvata. So Parvata is the devata for mountains. He's a mountain devata. So apparently either they were friends or they were related. I forget what. So they were both walking together. And as they were passing by, they saw a shop where the shopkeeper with a stick was beating a goat and driving it away. And the goat was trying to eat some of the grain which was openly displayed. And he's kept beating him again, and the goat will come back again. So Parvata and Narada were both walking together. So Parvata started laughing, giggling, like that. The Narada says, "What's so funny?" He says, "You're a very decent person, and here this person is beating this goat, and you're laughing about it. I find that to be inconsistent with what I think you are." He says, No, nothing. He says, No, you have to tell me. Parvata said, "I know the history of this whole place. The whole thing comes back to me." He says, "What is it?" He says, "The goat was his father in his last life. And he's the one who established the shop. And after he died, he told his son, 'Please, you take over.' The son was very happy. And he was so attached to the shop that even in his next life, he had done some bad things, so he got a rebirth as a goat instead of a human being. But he was still very attached to the shop. So that's his father that he's beating." Anyway, that's just an example that he was giving. So that's why, and then Narada said, "Wow, you're right. You have," because he knew the sequence of it. See, in the Tuesday night class, there was a student who said, "I don't understand why we cannot remember our past lives." And this is the reason. You cannot, your life will be so complicated. So complicated. Who's the wife and so on. We don't know. So it's all kept from you. So here, all the Chatushpada are anatma. This is the point I was making. Let's not lose on the point. Why are they anatma? Because they are not intrinsic to me. The roles that the mother has is not intrinsic to her. My personality is, I am not, HP is not part of me. It's something that just did for a while and then it's gone. And so similarly, all the padas are anatma. So this is point number one. Another point, and an important one as we study this, each of the padas, each of the four phases has two parts to it. Okay, there's two parts to it. One part is the experiencer of that pada, and the other part is what the person is experiencing. So take, for example, the first pada, which is being discussed in verse number 3, which is the waker, the waking experience. It talks about the waking experience. It's kind of like my working at HP. What was it like? If I were to describe to you where we were, how things were being run, and so on and so forth. That description. So now, if you look at that, myself as an HP employee is the experiencer of the HP experience. And the HP world is the experience for me. So similarly, in the waking state, as in the other padas, there are two segments. So one is the waker, and the other one is the world that the awaker experiences. Okay? So the Shastra is very carefully, and both, by the way, are anatma. So this is the thing. You as a ahankara means it's jiva. That's me. If I were to ask you, who are you, then you start describing. That's me. I'm born in such and such time, and I studied so much, and I've got a PhD in something like this. This is you. This is the ahankara. So this is also an atma. This is also not you. It is like an HP person. The experiencer of the HP as an HP employee. This will be proven. So each of the going back to the sequencing, each of the padas has two segments. One is the experiencer and the other one is the experiencing. So for example, in the waking state, the experiencer is called Vishwa. And the experience of waking is called Vaishwanara. Similarly, in the dream state, the dreamer is called Taijasa. So when you dream, the whole dream is your experience as a dream. You are the dreamer. Again, the same distinction has to be maintained. The dreamer and the experiencer and the experience. That's Taijasa. And the dreamer's world is called Hiranyagarbha. As we will explain it later on. Then, in the deep sleep state, when you say, I don't know anything, your status is prajna. And the very experience of the whole thing, especially with a lot of ananda, is called Ishvara. Ishvara there, the essence of Ishvara, being Ananda, is what you experience. You're very close to, you're the closest thing that you can come to in your life to being close to Ishvara is in the deep sleep. But that also is an experience. There is in fact a veil a veil that is preventing you from being one with the Ishvara. That is, I don't know. I don't know. And so as a result of that, just to on that commentary, it is not intrinsic to you. So you still have Anandamaya Kosha. It is still a Kosha. Even though it is very close to Ishvara, but it is not Ishvara. That will only happen when you remove the veil of ignorance through teaching. Anyway, so these are the 4 padas that the Atma has, because when you say Atma is everything, then in fact Atma being everything, but Atma is none of them. So like a mother who is both a mother, worker, friend, wife, etc. She is all of them, but she is none of them. Because all of them are nothing but an Atma. And she alone herself is the Atma. And then after you understand the mistake we make, because we make a mistake that whatever we are doing, we are that. Once you say no, 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 then the question is, then who am I? What is the intrinsic one? So that analysis will come later. But first you should rid yourself from the very mistake that we have, which is, who am I? And we just casually just take ourselves. It's just me. I'm experiencing it and so on and so forth. Not really. Even that has to be eventually given up. So this is how it proceeds, and then we will, in the next class, we will go to verse number 3 to hopefully quickly go through 3 to 7, and then we will switch over to the Karika that explains the padas in more detail, and proceed along those lines. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayentam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshadu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Shobharahitah Brahmana Santu Nirbhayah Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhaved Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Is Vaishvanara the same as Virat?
So Vaishvanara is the cosmic form of what you see, and the Vishwa is included in it, but it is the experiencer of, so Vishwa is you and I, and Vaishvanara is the whole Jagat.
No, but Virat. Is Vaishvanara the same as Virat?
Sometimes Virat and Vaishvanara are taken to be this, yes, it's the same. Yeah, sorry.
You said that we are that, but we are blocking ourselves. Why did we know for certain that we are that? We have determined that we are that. Why do we block ourselves?
It is
Not
the
very much become that.
it is the old vasanas. I don't know if you were planning to attend the Gita class today, but we are going to talk about this very point that you are bringing up. And so essentially, just to answer your question now, it is just the samskaras of the old one continue to go on for a while. And so that blocks, it doesn't block, the only thing that blocks is ignorance. So once the ignorance is removed, then the only thing that apparently blocks it, just the old samskaras that have to be erased from my personality. And so you have to go to the new personality, and the old personality has to be given up. And so this is a gradual process which takes a little time, and you have to keep at it. But then your direction has to be very firm, in the sense that if you continue to have doubts about it, and then you give up and say, this doesn't make any sense and I'm just going to do whatever I want to. No. You just have to have the patience that the new one is, the new personality is the one that really you want to explore. And so this is what is called Vairagya. So both Viveka and Vairagya are important, because if you don't do Vairagya, you don't act upon what the knowledge is telling you, then you're fooling yourself. Then you're standing on two separate legs that are not connected together at all. So you have to actualize the Viveka that you are doing, that you are aspiring to, by doing Vairagya.
The question now is that is this vasta erasure of all these sanskaras time limited or effort limited?
Both of them. Yeah, I would say that if our personality has been really screwed up, it will take a little longer time. This is where all the sadhanas will come into play. So you keep. The key thing is to hold the tail of Ishvara and say, Ishvara, I'm sorry, whatever I did in my previous part of my life. Let me just, Ishvara says, are you ready to give it up? You say, yes, I'm ready to give it up. You say, okay. And the next day you say, you know what, I really should be studying Vedanta, but this movie seems like a very nice new one I should do. Ishvara says, okay, all right, go back to whatever you were doing. Anyway, something like that. We'll discuss it more.